So Matt, this is one of my favorite topics, if you will. Influencers. They sometimes come in a second. Sometimes they come in a lifetime. When I speak, I talk a lot about my grandfather. Him, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt. They came from Kiev to Canada, whatnot, and he used to take me for walks in the park. And I tell the story so many times, but it hits home. And one day I asked him how he knows all the people. I was 5. He took me on walks in the park in Montreal. How does he know all these people that he talks to? And he said, well, one day, and he actually pointed, I remember pointing to that gentleman that's approaching. He said, one day I smiled at him. I didn't know him, and he smiled at me, and he came over, and we started talking and for friends. And then someone else saw us and came over and smiled at us. And as a 5-year-old, I said, well, life's pretty simple. I just got to smile at people, is what I thought. And I still think that, even though you start over experting it as you get older, but it's not over experting. That's just one influencer that I had of many, and I'm sure you've had many too. But can you share maybe 2 or 3 people that have been influential in your life?
Yeah, yeah. And you talked about your grandfather, and that's actually exactly where I was going to start here. I have a lot to thank my family for and a lot of support and development they've given me over the last few years. But I do want to call out my grandfather, John Hiller, who I spent a lot of summers, spending a week here and there with him. We were talking earlier about I was fortunate to grow up close by, and he World War II veteran, but like trained as machinist, was working at Pratt and Whitney. And so I really valued his work ethic, but also the investment he made in me personally to like teach me how to use a drill press, teach me how to do like just lots of hands-on things. And I believe he did that for my dad too. My dad wasn't always as handy as he is now because when he met my mom and he was spending time with his father-in-law, he also developed some of those skills. So really, really grateful for that. And it's definitely something, look back in hindsight and appreciate even more than I did in the moment.
I love
I've
that.
had the fortune of having a lot of great managers too, managers that have had confidence in me, maybe more than I did myself at the time. But the one that comes to mind most right now is Hans Koenigsmann, who was a very early employee at SpaceX and is the one who decided to take a chance on me and hire me to work in the avionics team. And I didn't always work under him or for him, but I worked near him and he was always a great model of how to operate within that very challenging company. I think he had a lot of backbone to stand up for things that were not always popular at the time,
Hmm.
and he had a lot of grit and perseverance to do what he did. And I don't remember how many years he ended up being there, but he was there for a long time, like easily probably 16 years or so.
Wow. Super cool. That's part of what, and not to too far into this, but that's part of what leaders who care is supposed to be. Leaders really care about the people around them and make them better and all that type of stuff. No, that's fantastic. Any one person you don't want to add to that, or are you complete?
I think that's pretty complete. I mean,
Cool.
there's been a lot of people, Mark, but I want to, I
There
think
are.
based on your parameters, I want to just pick two that probably like would stand out a little bit more. My grandfather actually like developed like interview questions for engineering talent around some of the stuff he showed me and taught me.
Yeah, it's one thing I find really quick is we should realize also that we're always influencing people. Sometimes we know it, sometimes we don't. And then when you said
Mhm.
that about Hans, that brought that up for me again. And we have a choice to be positive or negative, especially when we don't know we're influencing people. And because it can make a difference on people. Just that smile one day could change that day for that person. Things can happen. So yeah, it's important. So thanks for sharing that. It's really cool.
You bet.